Hello and welcome back to Pod Popper's Place. I'm Penny and today I am sharing with you Kendra's Card Challenge number 18 sketches along with some products from Gina K Designs. Gina K Designs is a super sponsor of Kendra's Card Challenges, and she sent me this die and stamp bundle called Just Keep Swimming. It's so nice that they sent the dies also with this, and all of the dies cut out every single stamp image here except for these sentiments that are in strips. So it's really nice to have every single die that you can use, including those sentiments that are in a different shape. So I'm going to be using this kind of background stamp, and I have this idea of kind of a stained glass look. So I'm stamping it in a StampTV ink on some vellum, and I do have to do it a few times to get a nice good impression down, just because my StampTV is a little bit dry. And then I'm going to also stamp just the tree image onto some cardstock so that I can color that and cut out just the green portion to add to my design. And I wanted you to see this Stays On ink cleaner. It really works really super well. I really like it. I always use it for my Stays On ink because Stays On just really can stick to your stamps, and it can be very difficult to clean off. So I turned this over and I'm actually coloring the back side of the image, not the front. And I'm just using my alcohol markers to give it some nice color. You do have to use kind of darker shades because it doesn't show that well through on the other side, because this is more of a whitish vellum rather than a perfectly clear one. So I do try to go fairly heavy-handed with the ink so that you can see through to the other side. I also decided to use a white gel pen for the white little cloud in the bottom portion of the image. And now I am just going to use the same alcohol markers to color out the branches in green here of the palm tree. And I'm just going to hand cut this out, and I will add that to the front of my little scene there and have it kind of just kind of stand out a little bit more and give it some dimension. And for the background layer, I'm going to use a bunch of all these smaller stamps, and I'm just putting them around the edges because the background is all that you're going to see. There's a larger piece on top with this image, and so you're just going to see the very edges of the background paper. And so I'm trying to just make sure that you can see, not all of the images are going to be visible, but you can just see the top and sides and get a clear picture of all the different things going on there. And I am stamping this in some Memento ink so that I can color them a little bit, and I'm just showing you the coloring that I already did off camera. Here I'm going to be using some it's kind of glitterish paper, and it's got a nice dark blue color to it, but I'm just cutting out the center. And I actually didn't measure this very well, but it turns out it was actually the exact right measurements that I needed to have both my bottom layer and that top layer as well. So that worked out really well, even though it was kind of on accident. So I'm going to add a little bit of the matching ink just around the edges to kind of darken it up a little bit and make it look more under the sea kind of ish. And I've laid all my pieces out, and now I'm just going to get my sentiment. And on the design, it does have like a little greenery or floral type embellishment, and so I'm going to use one of the little under the water sea kelp with the rocks as my embellishment piece. After using both of the dies to cut these out, I'm just going to get myself a banner here and then put my pieces on the banner as well. And I did add a little bit of extra ink on there just to kind of help match that bottom layer. And I do struggle a little bit with where to put the banner because, it's going to be covering up quite a bit of that image, and I really didn't want it to cover that up much. So I probably, if I had to do this over again, would have decided to maybe make that banner piece maybe a little bit more narrow than it called for in the design, just so that it wouldn't have covered up as much of my image. Today's video hop is a giveaway, so be sure to go to the description box, fill out the Google form, and have a chance to win a special prize from Cards by Kendra. Kendra's card challenges has just begun. This April is the first month, and so you still have time to get your set of 18 cards in and take a picture of them and submit them to the InLinkz party. And all of the details for submitting your cards to the challenge is on kendrascardchallenges.com page, and that is where you can also get access to the individual sketches if you have not already started your set. And that getting the sketches is free. You just have to become a free member of her Patreon. And there are also opportunities for you to be a paid member as well. And the paid membership comes with lots of different perks and benefits depending on which level of membership you decide to purchase. It can be very tricky to glue vellum down without having the glue show, and so I tried to put glue behind the lines of the stamped image, and that worked out sort of okay. You can kind of see a little bit of it behind the birds and such, but this one corner was sticking up, and so I put some 3 dots beneath the vellum, and then I'm just covering it up with some embellishment pieces, and I'm kind of layering some of them. One of them is shaped kind of like a shell, so I put additional little pieces in there, but it's just it was good to have embellishments, but also it helped kind of hide my glue dots that I needed to put under there to keep the vellum held down. So for my second card, it calls for these 3 banners that are patterned paper and then 2 other ones that are whatever you want. And so I'm going to use these smaller stamps from the set to kind of create my patterned paper for my banners. And these are wider and longer than I need, but I just want to make it look more natural by just stamping out a bunch of images and then trimming them down to the size that I need for the sketch. Creating your own pattern paper is a great way to use smaller stamps for sure. And I'm not being super careful here because I know I am going to trim them down and it's not going to really matter. I can cut off any areas that I wasn't happy with. And then I do color those off screen. And now I'm just going to trim them down according to the measurements that are shown on the sketch. For my background layer, I'm going to use some coordinating cardstock and this embossing folder that has an underwater theme design to it. And I do wet that down just so I get a really nice deep impression. I decided that I'm going to use some mirrored cardstock for my back layer and also for one of the other banners that it calls for. And that's just going to give it a lot of nice shine and sparkle underneath there. This is a fairly simple design with the banners, but it is nice because you can add lots of colored papers and different patterns to really make it unique. But it also has quite a bit of space there in the bottom left corner for you to add any additional details that you would like. I do feel like it's important to try and get the first banner that you line up as straight as possible. However, I did not get it really as far into the card as I should have because the other banner did not have enough room to get on there without overlapping it more. And I was trying to follow the sketch pretty closely to how it had it outlined. I did pop up the last 2 banners up on some foam tape to give it a little bit of dimension, and you can see the little turtle up in the corner there. I colored off screen and I was going to add him to the bottom left corner, but I really didn't have any greens on my card, so I just thought it was just too different in the coloring from everything else. So I ended up coloring a squid off camera, and I colored him in purples to kind of match the seashells that I already had on there, and he will be what I use in the bottom left corner rather than the turtle. So this is the finish of my final card, and I appreciate so much that you are here watching. Thank you for being here today. I hope that you would join the video hop and check out all the other contributors by clicking on the Play All playlist in the description box below, filling out that Google form to have a chance to win from Kendra. Please consider subscribing and hitting that like button. It would really be appreciated, and we'll see you again real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.